Locked On Podcast Network presents Locked On Sports Today.
Nobody does playoff heartbreak quite like the Vikings, and the Rams were happy to oblige. Also, where exactly do the Cowboys see themselves a year from now? And the Patriots made the wrong hire.
I'm Peter Bukowski, starting your day with the can't-miss stories and biggest debates in sports. You're Locked On Sports Today.
Searching all major sports. Found.
Let's start with the biggest story.
The Minnesota Vikings won 14 games in the regular season, the most ever by a wild card. They were favored heading to LA to take on the NFC West winning Rams. Then tragedy struck in Southern California, and wildfires moved the game, a football game, the last thing on the minds of a lot of folks in Southern California with the devastation there. And then in Hollywood fashion, the script writers got involved. A 27-9 beatdown by the Rams against the Minnesota Vikings. Doug McCain from Locked On Rams joins me now. And Doug, it would have been reasonable to predict the Rams winning this game, but dominating it in the fashion that they did, almost getting to double-digit sacks in this game, I don't think was on anyone's bingo card.
Absolutely. I think that was the biggest takeaway, is just the defense was absolutely ferocious. 8 of their 9 sacks coming just with 4-man fronts. It's not like they were sending a lot of pressure early on. They were just absolutely manhandling the Minnesota Vikings offensive line. And Aaron Donald was in the building. I'm not so sure that number 99 wasn't out there in some capacity, because they had Darnold seeing ghosts early on and really getting after him. And this was just such an impressive performance. You hold this Vikings team to 9 points, under 300 yards of total offense. You sack the quarterback 9 times. You cause 2 turnovers. You get a scoop and score on a turnover. You got their number 1 draft pick, Jared Verse, doing flips into the end zone. I mean, it was a great night. I mean, you mentioned the wildfires and everything that's going on here in Southern California. And this is a Rams team that's really dealt with a lot this week, from seeing the smoke at their practice facility at Woodland Hills to having their game relocated. They mentioned at halftime, it did feel and sound like a college bowl game where it was 50-50, 60-40, and the Rams really overcame a lot. And, hey, I don't know who's going to be the one to text Dan Campbell to tell him that the Rams won, but I don't think that he's going to be seeing the Vikings in 2 weeks. You could be seeing the Rams in 2 weeks if they continue to play like they did in the first half.
Yeah, and the funny part is Jared Verse probably going to win Defensive Rookie of the Year. They get 9 sacks. He didn't get one of them. It's contributions everywhere. It's from all of these guys. It's from Byron Young. It's from Kobe Turner. It's from Neville Gallimore, who's not a name that you would come top of mind in a game like this. But also Matthew Stafford came out on the very first drive. I mean, he had the same number of touchdowns as incompletions with 12 attempts. At one point. And so this is a guy who's been through it, just as by contradistinction with Sam Darnold, who has not been in these moments. Matthew Stafford, all of a sudden, like, you look around the NFC and you go, why can't he take this team to the mountaintop?
Absolutely. And if you're a Rams fan, you saw the version of Matthew Stafford you were hoping to see, one that was sharp, one that was just absolutely engaged every single play. I think one of the plays that probably won't get talked about is the 4th down early in the game, when you go at that hard count and you get them to jump off sides, and then the very next play, you throw a touchdown to Kyren Williams. I mean, this Rams team has been the second to worst first quarter team in the NFL, 31st in the NFL in first quarter points. They scored 10 points in the first quarter. The Vikings have been the second best first quarter team in the NFL this year. They hold that Vikings team to just 2 first downs. I mean, they flipped the script on so many things. We spend so many episodes, so much time thinking about trends of a team, then all of a sudden just one game, they completely reverse it. But it's refreshing if you're a Rams fan. But yeah, Matthew Stafford, absolutely locked in. I think the lack of weapons around him outside of Puka Nacua and Kyren Williams is a little concerning, but you got a touchdown from Davis Allen. I mean, this game was over by the first half, and you cannot say that about any Rams game this season as far as wins go.
Yeah, 24-3 at halftime here. All right, quick, just blink test your impressions of Rams Eagles in the divisional round.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, though. There's going to be some revenge factors there. And I think this is a Rams team that, look, I mean, they are one of the ultimate, most recent house money type of teams. They like when their back's against the wall. They like having ways to motivate themselves in the locker room right now. They took the Lombardi trophy from Super Bowl 56 and they put it in the middle of the Rams locker room, and it says underneath it, football heaven. So they took Dan Campbell's comments and they posted on the bulletin board. So look, if you're a Rams team, you have the top end talent and coaching to compete with anyone. And the beautiful thing of all this is you're going to the East Coast in a game with no one really expects you to win, but ask the Eagles right now. The Rams are one of the last teams you want to play in the NFL, and they're just a dangerous team that's really come together and peaking at the right time.
You can stay up to date all year on the Los Angeles Rams by subscribing to Locked On Sports Today and Locked On Rams on your favorite podcast app and on YouTube. You're Locked On Sports Today. Coming up, the Cowboys are starting over again with their head coach. Before we get to that, Bo Nix revealed a surprise injury that he played through for a few weeks this year. For big upsets to game-winning drives, the NFL playoffs are better on FanDuel because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. Jaden Daniels may have led the Commanders to their first playoff win in a long time, but now they face the number 1 seed Lions. FanDuel has the biggest point spread of the divisional round with the Lions giving 8.5. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today and get started with $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Make this playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Denver Broncos quarterback Bo Nix revealed that he played part of his rookie season with a transverse process fracture in his back. Sounds like it hurts. Speaking with reporters as players clean out their lockers on Monday, Nix detailed the injury.
Well, it was a long 18, 19-week season, but, fortunately, God was good to me this year. He allowed me to stay upright, and, I was healthy, got to play each and every game. Obviously, we all play with some bruises and some cuts and scrapes, but the Vegas week was just I had a little, transverse process fracture in my back. But that week got treatment and kind of made it through to that week. Monday Night Football, it was a stretch that we were all kind of banged up. And, I wasn't going to miss the first Monday night game. So I got treatment on it, and then we were fortunate to have an off week that next week. And, kind of went away after that. But for that moment, it was, annoying, but we all play with annoying things.
And in Major League Baseball offseason news, Roki Sasaki has reportedly narrowed his list of teams that he will sign with to the Padres, Dodgers, and Blue Jays. Reports are that the Padres are very confident they will land the 23-year-old Japanese phenom. Every team in the league had a chance to add the young pitcher. Sasaki is too young to require a Major League Baseball team to spend tens of millions of dollars to purchase his rights to sign him from the Nippon Professional Baseball team, the Chiba Marines. His personal contract will also be for the rookie minimum by rule, which means his signing team will have him for at least 5 years. Sure, the baseball rules are complicated and convoluted and make no sense, but they also don't benefit anyone but the owners. Great. About 10 days ago, it looked like Mike McCarthy was going to be staying in Dallas when the Cowboys said no thank you to the Chicago Bears, who wanted a chance to interview Mike McCarthy. A day later, it was, no, we were just doing exit interviews, and now Mike McCarthy's contract is up. He is free to talk to anyone, and it seems like the Dallas Cowboys, according to reports, are content to let him go. Marcus Mosher from Locked On Cowboys joins me now. And Marcus, what has the last 10 days been like for Cowboys fans? Because this has been a roller coaster, a Jerry Jones caliber roller coaster.
Yeah, it's been really strange because it seems like even during the season, we got this media blitz about how great of a coach Mike McCarthy is. Tom Brady was saying that the Cowboys would be foolish to let him go. Troy Aikman said the same thing in a broadcast. Peter, honestly, I just assumed that he would be back, that they would figure out a way to do a 2 or 3 year extension and bring him back. So when we got the news today that the Cowboys were letting him leave, and then we got the press release from Jerry Jones that, hey, they're moving on. Honestly, it was somewhat shocking for me.
And what the statement was and what the reporting was from NFL Network and others was they couldn't come together on a contract that made sense for both sides. I'm assuming that means Jerry Jones wanted to short-term something. Mike McCarthy wanted more security and said, well, if you're not going to give me the security, my contract's up. I'm walking. First of all, how does that sound to you as a plausible explanation for how this all went down?
I think it's accurate. Now, maybe they didn't necessarily discuss the exact number of years, but there were some clear differences. And I think one of them, if I'm just guessing here, is that I think Jerry Jones wanted the Cowboys to maybe hire a different play caller. And I don't think Mike McCarthy wanted to give up play calling duties. I think that's what he enjoys doing. So I think there were a lot of disagreements. I think McCarthy wanted to be back. I think Jerry Jones wanted McCarthy to be back, but because they just couldn't come to a deal, Cowboys are now looking for the next head coach.
Okay, let's move to that part of this now. We did not think a week or two ago when all of Black Monday happened that the Cowboys would be a job opening. What kind of job opening is this, do you think? How appealing, how attractive is it?
It should be attractive. Like theoretically, it should be attractive, right? You've got, let's call Dak a top 13 quarterback in the league,
okay.
Conservative, like
fair.
A good quarterback. You've got one of the best receivers in the league. You've got maybe the best defensive player in the league in Micah Parsons, and you've got draft picks. They've got the salary cap is getting better for them over the next couple of weeks or the next couple of years. But it's not a premier job because you have to work with Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones, and there's this pressure to win right now, and there's always going to be interference from the front office. So I think that's really going to limit the pool of candidates that the Cowboys are going to consider. And Peter, honestly, that's why I've had such mixed feelings about whether they should bring Mike McCarthy back or not, because I think McCarthy is a good coach. Is he good enough to get to the Cowboys where they need to go? Probably not. But could they do worse? Yeah. And I think more than likely they probably will. But I think at least the unknown and the uncertainty is at least worth diving into right now.
Well, let's dive into it because they're going to have to get someone else. It doesn't look like Mike McCarthy is going to be back. So barring some sort of 11th hour decision and that, actually we're reconciling, which seems unlikely at this point, who are the candidates that you think not only make sense, but are realistic options and could want this opportunity?
So Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones are going to go with names that they know and have seen before. And that's why I think Kellen Moore, the Eagles offensive coordinator, is probably the favorite to be their head coach. Just don't watch what he did on Sunday against the Packers. That was not the best display.
You're talking to the wrong person, Marcus, because I've never really understood the like drooling that people have done over Kellen Moore, but please continue.
Well, he was Cowboys offensive coordinator for years. He was a quarterback coach. He played under them in 2015. So I do think he's going to be among the names that they consider. Other names would be like Aaron Glenn, who played for the Cowboys back in the early 2000s. Pete Carroll, who the Cowboys have seen coach a million times. Doug Peterson, another coach that's been in the division that they saw win a Super Bowl in the NFC East. But the nightmare scenario, and I think one that's becoming a lot more popular for the Joneses, is Jason Witten, who currently is coaching high school football. Jerry Jones, in the middle of the season, was raving about how good of a coach Jason Witten could be and that he could replicate what Dan Campbell has done, who also played in Dallas under Jason Witten, could do for the Cowboys. I won't be surprised at all if Jason Witten is on the short list of names they consider.
Freudian slip there, Marcus.
I mean, we might be longing for the days of Jason Garrett. There's a chance.
You can stay up to date on the Dallas Cowboys by subscribing to Locked On Sports Today and Locked On Cowboys on your favorite podcast app and on YouTube. Coming up, why the Patriots made the wrong decision with their head coaching hire. Could Rocket Money help you find subscriptions you forgot about or that you were paying for twice? It would certainly help me do that. This happened to me just the other day. I realized, oh no, I'm paying for this thing that I don't use anymore. And I forgot I was paying for it. Rocket Money makes it easy to track them all down. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions. It monitors your spending and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. It brings everything together in one place, whether it's subscriptions, your spending habits, or even goals you want to hit this year. For me, one of the best features, the subscription tracker. I need to be better about monitoring those things. $3 a month, or you spend $20 on a year or something like that. I'm not keeping track of those little things. I should, but I don't. Rocket Money can help me. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster for Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. rocketmoney.com/lockedon. The New England Patriots hired Mike Vrabel to usher in a new era. As Locked On NFL host Tyler Rowland sees it, this is a bad hire.
All right, Ross, let me say this. I get it. Mike Vrabel's a good head coach. The media loves him. They slurp it up. They absolutely love Mike Vrabel all the time. He's great, this and that. And I get it, all right? Going back home to the Patriots totally makes sense. But again, I don't like it, as I said to start. Let me explain why. Number one, Mike Debate there talks about building a program. Mike Vrabel never built a program in Tennessee. People forget that the Titans went 9-7 and won a playoff game. That's the team Mike Vrabel took over. He has never built a program from the ground up, foundationally on a bad team with a bad roster. He's never done that. I don't think that he's equipped to do that. Also, putting Mike Vrabel with a young, impressionable quarterback like Drake May, who needs the fundamentals and needs all of this help to become the player that people think that he can be and that I think that he can be. He looked fantastic. Drake May has a lot of potential. Mike Vrabel is not a quarterback's best friend. He's not a good coach for a young quarterback. That's one of the reasons the Titans wanted to move away from him. And I remind people that although Mike Vrabel is praised to high heaven like he's some, God's gift to football, 3 out of his 6 seasons in Tennessee, the Titans were 26th or lower in scoring. He doesn't hire good offensive coordinators as well. That's not something he can do consistently. So what's he going to do? Hire Josh McDaniels? Hire Bill O'Brien? Hire Tim Kelly? Again, he's going to kill Drake May. He is not a good – they should have went and got Ben Johnson, and I think he would have taken the job. I think Mike Vrabel would do fine, but this move isn't anywhere near as good as everyone's pretending.
Tyler, as our Locked On Titans host, in addition to being the Locked On NFL host, has seen firsthand the Mike Vrabel experience. What I find so striking about all of this is the Patriots moved on from Bill Belichick. And then they made a documentary about the dynasty that subverted the role Bill Belichick played in the dynasty. But they replaced Bill Belichick with the guy Bill Belichick wanted to replace him, longtime Patriots, basically lifer, Gerard Mayo. Gerard Mayo in one season can't get the job done. And so what do? They hire another former Patriots linebacker who played for Bill Belichick. I know he didn't coach for Bill Belichick, but he's a Belichick disciple. Let's be clear about this. To replace Mayo. This is just extending the string of trying to recreate a coach that I don't know, it doesn't seem like you're in love with. I don't understand any of this. It doesn't make sense to me other than a team that is trying desperately to hang on to something that no longer exists. And finally, $285,500 and get you a house. Or it can pay for Anthony Edwards' fines for making obscene gestures toward NBA officials this season. No, seriously. After being fined another $50K on Monday, that is the total amount of money that Edwards has had to pay for showing his displeasure toward officials. I mean, I'll make a bad call against Edwards if I can get some of that money. I need to make a phone call, call my agent. If you're catching this episode after hearing your favorite Locked On show, make sure to subscribe to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode. Also, if you're a new subscriber to Locked On Sports Today, we're here for you with the biggest stories in sports every day. Coming up on the next Locked On Sports Today, can we expect the divisional round to be more interesting than the wild card round? It usually is. So at least until tomorrow, stay locked on sports today.
Locked On Podcast Network presents Locked On Sports Today.
Go to our video on demand. Click on sports at the top of your screen. There, you'll find past episodes of Locked On Sports Today, plus other Locked On shows on demand.